hearing of Tuesday, May 7th, 2024 to order. This meeting is being convened in person and by electronic means, as such council members may participate in person or by electronic means. We have someone online, that's right. For council member participating by electronic means, please ensure your video is turned on and let the clerk know you are leaving the meeting for the purpose of confirming quorum. Council members are reminded that in accordance with section 14.13 of the procedure bylaw, members must enable their video to confirm quorum. If council member attending by electronic means lose the connection during the portion of the hearing, we will recess the meeting until the connection is restored. If council member lose connection during the voting process, the staff will get you back online quickly while we suspend the voting process. The contact information has been circulated to you. Member of the public can view the proceeding via live stream and YouTube link, which will be posted on X at Vancouver Clerk. We acknowledge we are on the unceded homelands of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. We thank them for having care of this land and look forward to working with them in a partnership as we continue to build this great city together. In case of the emergency where we need to evacuate the building, I would like to direct your attention to the exits. There are 2 exits beyond the glass door and to the left. If these exits are obstructed, please direct your attention to the 4 exits in this council chamber. Please use stairs. Do not use the elevator. I would also like to highlight that there is a defibrillator located at the end of the hallway outside of this council chamber. I also want to take a moment to recognize the immense contribution of City Vancouver's team members who work hard every day to make our city an incredible place to work, live, work, and play. Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Councillor Joe in the chair. Mayor Sim is on a leave of absence for personal reasons from 5 p.m. onwards. Councillor Carr, Councillor Kirby-Young, Councillor Dominato, Councillor Bly, Councillor Boyle,
Present.
Councillor Fry, Councillor Meisner. You have quorum. Acting Mayor Joe.
Thank you, Clerk. Before we begin, I have some announcements. The public may participate by speaking in person, by phone, or by submitting written comments to Mayor and Council. Speaker will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merit of the report being considered. Speakers should also state whether they are in support or opposed to the recommendations, and if they are the residents of Vancouver, if it is not noted. Speakers may only speak once and should follow along on X at Vancity Clerk for updates on the progress of the meeting so they don't miss their turn to speak. Any comments on the agenda items can be submitted in writing through our online web form at Mayor and Council Public Hearing Feedback web form. The link will also be posted on X. Those speaking on behalf of 4 or more persons or groups, including the speakers, will have 8 minutes to speak, and only if those represented confirm by introducing them on the line or in person. Those who are represented by another speaker must not be individual speakers themselves. I also want to note City of Vancouver's long-standing commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, including utmost respect for all genders. So I remind Council when addressing speakers and staff, we will avoid using gender honorifics and will instead refer to the person by first and last name, role, or title. Remember that Council's role at this public hearing is to be a quasi-judicial body, which means Council is to only consider the merits of the rezoning application or heritage designation. Council members may ask clarifying questions from speakers, including the applicant, or technical advice from staff, but should save debate for after the close of the speakers list. After hearing from the speakers, council may 1. Approve the application in principle, 2. Refuse the application, or 3. Refer the application to staff for further considerations. Finally, if council does not conclude hearing from all speakers this evening, we will recess and reconvene this meeting on Thursday, May 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. All right, so we're going to start with our first application tonight. It's CD1 rezoning 1302-1318 East 12th Avenue. Does any member of council wish to declare conflict of interest on this item? Okay. Seeing none, the clerk will read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by David Wong Architect to rezone 1302 to 1318 East 12th Avenue from RM11N Residential District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District. This is to permit the development of a 6-story mixed-use building containing 33 secured rental units with commercial space on the ground floor. A floor space ratio of 3.21 and a building height of 24.20 meters are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing. 4 pieces of correspondence in support and 1 piece of correspondence in opposition. And that represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you, clerk. This is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061441. 1061445 pound before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. There will be an opportunity for the new speakers and the missed speakers to be added at the end of registered speakers list. Since there is a registered speaker for this item, I suggest we hear the staff presentation unless there's a motion on the floor. Okay. Okay, thank you, Councilor Carr. So there's a motion to waive the presentation.
Second that.
Seconded by Councilor Meisner. All in favor say yeah. Oh. Okay. Okay, that's easier. Perfect. Okay, thank you. So there's no thanks staff. So the presentation is waived. Okay. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant team? Noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant. Councilor Meisner, please go ahead.
Oh, I was on the queue to waive the presentation.
Oh, okay.
I'll take
Thank you.
myself off. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh. Oh.
No worry. All right, so seeing no one else on the queue, so this is the second call for speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445 pound before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium before the close of the speakers list. Speaker will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. We will now hear from the public. So we have 1 speaker on the public speakers list. Robin Tavander. Yeah, Robin, please come to the podium. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. May I begin? Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So I've spoken before about building and the built form in urban environments. I think 6 stories is too tall. It casts shadows and creates an environment where it's like walking through a tunnel when you eventually have the whole built form that size. I mean, it's not as bad as 40 stories, but it's still something that I just fundamentally reject as a sort of principle of architecture. I don't believe it's humane. But the specific comment I wanted to make about the report is I never had enough time to review all of the materials because there's quite a bit of material associated with each of these projects. That's, I think, another more general issue, that to review these projects, as opposed to single detached family homes, you probably need a lot more expertise in the city. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but you certainly probably need a lot more different people to review something this complicated compared to a two-story or three-story detached wood frame home. So it adds that complexity. And I'd never really looked at the draft bylaws, and maybe this is also in part of the report, but I want to draw your attention to the draft bylaw. I think it's not the sign one, it's the other one, I think. And 4.1, the design and layout of at least 35% of the total number of dwelling units must A, be suitable for family housing, and B, have 2 or more bedrooms. And I'm not certain why you would call 2 bedrooms family housing, especially if it's part of our goal as a country or society to facilitate people having replacement levels of children. Because if you're going to have, and I've said this before, but it bears repeating, and there's a lot of repetitive stuff about corporate governance, so I don't feel too bad about it. If you're going to have children, on average, half of them are boys and half of them are girls. And of course, that's at the population level, so there might be clustering effects within families. I haven't looked into it that clearly, but you're going to need 1 bedroom for the boys and 1 bedroom for the girls, you know, in the main. And so if the city staff, I don't know if there's some global document that defines family housing as 2 or more bedrooms, or if this is something that the city staff use, or if there's council direction on this. I haven't frankly looked into that. I don't really see how you can call family housing anything less than 3 bedrooms. And I've spoken to numerous acquaintances, and they seem to agree. When I tell them that there's these 2 clauses, like suitable for family housing and have 2 or more bedrooms, they go, well, why isn't that 3 or more? I mean, wouldn't that be more suitable for family housing? I mean, of course, there's all sorts of different families in our side. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on single parent. My mom was a single parent, but we had the luck, I don't like the word privilege, I'm going to say luck and hard work of my ancestors to live in a detached home. But just 2 bedrooms, I don't think that's enough. And so I'm concerned that that's the way this term is being defined. And then there's all sorts of other exigencies of human life, like if you have a relative that gets sick, or you have a friend that comes to visit, or things like that, which are quite normal parts of human life. So where do you have someone who comes to visit you stay? Or if you have a relative that gets sick, where do they stay? So I just have a lot of concern that this built form is more in the interest of the development community that is going to profit from these units, because I believe this is a profit-motivated developer. I didn't look into that, so if I'm wrong, I do apologize. But if it is, then I'm just quite concerned that the focus is on building units that are saleable rather than having a philosophy of architecture that really captures the fact that we want to have the capacity for people to have children and replace themselves, because that's how you have a healthy society. You really need replacement levels of reproduction, and there needs to be facilitation of that by all levels of government. And certainly you don't want to work against that. So thank you for listening to my comments on this proposal.
Okay, thank you, Robin. You are right on time. Thank you so much for speaking to council. Okay, so this is the third and the final call for speakers. So if there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#, before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. Any speaker in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium. Okay, so haven't seen anyone here, so we will now take 5 minutes recess for any additional speakers. We're gonna come back at 6:21. Thanks. Okay, so let's continue this public hearing. Clerk, do we have any other speakers?
No other speakers on the line or in the chamber.
Okay, thanks, Clerk. Seeing no additional speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Okay, seeing there are little or no comments received after 5 p.m., I'm also closing the receipt of public comments. Okay, so does applicant have any closing comments? Oh. Okay. Do staff have any closing comments? Okay, thank you. Does council have any question for staff? Okay. Moved by Councilor Carr, seconded by Councilor Meissner. Okay. So council will now make the decision on this application. Moved second. Okay. So is there any debate from council? Councilor Meissner?
Thanks, Chair. I just want to say that I think that this is great that an empty lot that has existed for a long time, as long as I can remember, on the corner of 12th and Clark, will be turned into 33 new rental units, as well as retail space. So in a housing crisis, it's just great to see projects come forward where there's no displacement. And I think that this will be a big improvement and provide homes for people where there was previously an empty lot. So I'm happy to see this hopefully move forward tonight. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Carbiel.
Yeah, I'll be brief. It's always a good thing to see more rental housing moving forward and coming to fruition because council has been working actively towards getting that type of tenure delivered. I think the one thing that struck me when I was reading this and I was looking at the address, as mentioned, kind of in a busy neighborhood, 12th and Clark, is that it's only 6 stories on what's a pretty busy neighborhood and very close to rapid transit with the SkyTrain station and the investment that's going there. So that was, I know that we've enabled that policy and we're looking at around sort of the TODs and the transit-oriented demand. So we may be able to deliver more homes in that area, but it did strike me that 6 is not particularly tall, particularly given the transit proximity, but I am happy to see 33 new homes coming forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. So now we're going to vote on this application. So clerk, please take us to the voting panel. And council, please register your vote.
Chair, this is.
Oh, hello,
Councillor
I'm,
Boyle. Can I get a vote assist in favor?
Just wanted to note a vote in favor, and I have been on the meeting following online. Thank you.
All right. Councilor Dominado, did you vote? Okay. Okay.
Oh, hello?
Okay. Someone seeing something? That's Mike? No, no idea. Okay, so should be all good.
Hello?
Oh, hey. Speaking?
Hi, yes, it's David Wong calling. I'm the applicant, the architect. And
Oh.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, I'm actually out of the country right now. I've called in, and I just want to say thank you to Mayor and Council and City staff. And I just want to do a quick reply. Is this permitted for me to respond back?
Sorry, applicant, we already passed our stage. When we call your name, there's no one speaking. So now we have voted.
Yeah, I couldn't. Okay, yeah, I didn't know how to undo the unmute here on my phone.
Yeah, please go
Okay,
ahead, Councilor
never mind.
Fabian.
All right.
Let me give you your mic.
John?
There
Oh,
we
that's
go.
great. Thank you. I have a point of procedure, Chair, and I believe that in the public hearing legally, we are required, the applicant has the opportunity to speak and if they can't be denied that, or otherwise, I think procedurally, we have an issue
Okay.
because we haven't followed due process.
Okay, can you confirm?
So I just would like us to pause for a minute and review that if we could.
Okay, so we can go back. Yes. Yes, but he was not there, so. can we
But
go back?
just to clarify, Chair, I heard that the applicant was on the line, so if there was any technical difficulty or whatever, just in terms of procedural defensibility and fairness, I think we do have to
Okay.
err on the side of allowing the applicant to speak.
Okay, thanks, Counselor. So let's take a very quick recess to figure out the procedure part of this issue. We're gonna be back in just 2 minutes. All right, so we have quorum, right? Okay, so we're gonna continue this meeting. So there's some legal advice saying that we have voted already. So that's why, when we call the applicant, he was not here. So we passed that stage already. We have. So that we have to pass that. That's the legal advice. There we go.
Chair, just as what I was hearing Councillor Kirby Young ask was that given the quasi-judicial nature of the public hearing, that if the applicant was trying to get off mute and there was a technical challenge and wasn't able to, that it could risk the whole public hearing. And a few of us have experienced having to redo a public hearing on a technical matter. So I think that's the kind of the query here is, well, yes, you did ask for the applicant and the applicant wasn't available, or it sounded like maybe he had a technical problem. So I think it's just we're trying to avoid someone calling into question the hearing. And so I think that what I'm hearing, I'm just trying to paraphrase, that maybe it'd be better to hear the applicant, like rescind the vote, hear the applicant so that we can ensure that we've done our due diligence. But again,
Okay.
I think am I reflecting back what sort of, so I can move rescission to move to rescind?
We have to ask the legal opinion on that.
Okay.
Right? Clerk?
I think that's what we're trying to avoid is that down the road, someone says, well, you didn't follow procedure, and having had some experience with.
Okay, you know what? Let's take another 2 minutes recess. We're gonna call legal for legal advice on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Yes. Okay, Councilor Boyle or Councilor Bly, can you turn off your video? Turn on, yeah, sorry. Turn on your video. It's a long day for everyone. Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry for the delay. So we did consult the legal opinion from our legal department. So since the debate has done, the vote has occurred. It was actually showing on the screen. So unfortunately, there's some communication issues regarding the technical challenge, but it's already passed, so we have to move on procedurally. And it is even worse if we resend the vote, do it again. Procedurally, that's even worse. So we have to keep on going. Okay, so clerk, please bring the vote. We have to bring the vote to the screen, right? We did already. Okay, so this application passed unanimously. Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry for the challenge here. Okay, we're gonna now move on to the second item on the agenda. CD1 rezoning, 7525 Canby Street. Does any member wish to declare conflict of interest on this item? Okay, the clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by West Group Properties to rezone 7525 Canby Street from C1 Commercial District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District. This is to permit the development of a 6-story mixed-use building with commercial use at grade and 67 strata-titled units, a floor space ratio of 3.22 and a height of 23.8 meters, with additional height for rooftop appurtenances are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation, with the addition of the yellow memorandum dated May 3rd, 2024. One piece of correspondence in opposition has been received since referral to public hearing and up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you, clerk. This is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#, before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be added to the end of the registered speakers list. So council, do we want to hear the presentation? Okay, Councilor Carr, please go ahead. Oh, Councilor Meisler, please go ahead. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest that we move to waive the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Meisler. So I understand from the legal, we do need a motion for waiving the presentation. Now we have a mover. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Dominado. All in favor say yay. All opposed say nay. Okay, the motion carries. So we waive the presentation. Thank you, staff. All right. So would the applicant team like to present the application if in attendance? Hi, please go
Hi,
ahead.
Mayor and Council. I'm Grant Brewster, Director of Development at West Group Properties. You may recall that I was here in February speaking in support of the new city incentives to encourage the use of mass timber in development. I'm pleased to be here today at public hearing to progress one of 6 of our active projects pursuing mass timber, although I note that this project was progressed under our own volition and predates the incentives, nor is able to capitalize on those incentives as currently structured. As described the last time when explaining the required approach to mass timber and development, to succeed and realize the benefits of increased sustainability, higher quality, and faster construction, you must optimize for the material. To optimize, you must understand. To understand, you must have experience. And to have experience, you need to have done it or to have an experienced team. With this in mind, we pivoted our original consultant team, which had proposed a 6-story concrete project back in 2020, to bring on industry leaders in mass timber and revised our design for optimal mass timber utilization in a 6-story form, demonstrating its viability and understanding by doing in the approach. Despite the recent work by staff, the utilization of mass timber does not always stack up so well with existing city policies. In this case, the wedding cake stacking with 5th and 6th-story setback required in the Canby Corridor Plan. Despite these challenges, we worked successfully with staff and our team to develop a design that meets the policy and is optimized for local mass timber supply. What I mean by that is each module has been designed to 11, 4, and 10-foot widths, optimizing for production capacity of Kalashnikov and Castlegar, BC's only CLT supplier. Additionally, rather than setting back our unit to the 5th floor, we stacked the entirety of our building envelope in a single plane, and we met the intent of the design guidelines and wedding cake through a balcony expression, deeper on the lower floors, in a sawtooth fashion, a nod to the timber, and set back above. Structural simplicity and repetition are key principles to success in mass timber, reducing transfers and envelope complexity. What results are highly livable units, but ones that are a little larger than otherwise may be typical in a market, which comes with an additional challenge to hit a market-driven price. Although we're excited about pressing this project forward and the design work done to date, we do note that much has changed over the course of this approval in the development and construction worlds. Hard costs have seen significant inflation, financing costs have increased with interest rate increases, and soft costs, in particularly the significantly increased Metro Vancouver fees starting in spring of 2025, have made the project financially unviable. With that in mind, we believe there are a number of missed opportunities for this site. One is height. The site's immediately adjacent to the 27-story tower at Canby Gardens. It would seem fitting to have a more tapered transition into the regular 6-story form along Canby. Another is the lost opportunity on the mass timber incentives applying to this site. As this site is zoned for 6 stories, it does not enable the addition of 2 or 3 stories of additional height or density, which could tip the balance to make this project viable, pressing one forward as mass timber. Despite its current challenges and the potentially missed opportunities flagged above, we're nonetheless excited to press forward with this project and are committed to continuing to find a way to make it work, ultimately delivering more sustainable homes to the Canby corridor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant team, noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant? Councilor Dominado, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And my questions to the applicant. Graham, thanks for being here and showcasing some of the opportunities with using mass timber and some of the missed opportunities in light of just the recent policy changes. I'm just curious, are there any other learnings that you can share with us with this particular project as it evolved and outside of what you named in terms of, that we hadn't quite completed the work on the incentives and
I think there's a lot to unpack. I mean, this one's actually a little bit different because it is under 6 stories, it falls more in line with the traditional wood frame in terms of approach. So things like balconies are actually a little bit more achievable than some of the challenges faced on other ones. Some of the city policies had been evolving at the same time in terms of changing the step back requirements for 5th and 6th levels. However, those aren't applicable to, depending on the design guidelines or where a project is being pursued in the city. It's like we had a challenge with that given the context of the Canby corridor plan. So it's hard to pick up specific ones. I think we did get to a very good place in working together with staff and on some concessions to make it work. But the structural simplicity and the stacking is vitally important. And by being able to achieve the expression by way of our balconies or our outboard balconies, that was a real win on this project.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Councilor Dominado. This is the second call for the speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. Any speaker in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium before the close of the speakers list. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. We will now hear from the public. The only speaker on the speakers list is Robin Tavender. Yeah, please come to the podium. And you can start whenever you're ready. You have 5 minutes.
Oh, hello again. Also not in support of this built form. Again, 6 stories is very, very tall. I mean, I'm very tall, and when I meet someone taller than me, it's a bit intimidating. So a 6-story building, I mean, that's pretty tall. And just something that I was thinking about sitting there that's unexplored judicially, because I've heard the phrase, I don't know if it's quasi-judicial proceeding or something like that, is that there's charter jurisprudence in two leading cases, Baker and Vavilov, and a more recent one, Robinson from the Supreme Court. No, that's from the federal court, pardon me, that says administrative decision makers have to consider charter arguments when they are raised. And of course, because administrative law is very contextual and always depends on what's going on, the type of reasons that have to be given are varied. But I just wonder, at some margin, there has to be some charter protection for the environment and the built form. And for example, 40 stories wall to wall in an area, blocking out the sun and, just creating a wind tunnel, I would say that would probably, it would have to violate some sort of charter right. I mean, that would just be unlivable. It would be like a sci-fi dystopia. So I just wanted to suggest that I don't think I'm prepared to suggest that this would violate the charter in any way, but I'm sure that certain forms of architecture could violate people's constitutional rights, and that's something to think about. But let's look at this bylaw, because again, I read the bylaw, and I'm concerned because we have similar phrasing as the last one, and the design and layout of at least 35% of the total dwelling units must, A, be suitable for family housing, and B, have 2 or more bedrooms, of which I, at least 25% of the total dwelling units must be 2-bedroom units, and II, at least 10% of the total dwelling units must be 3-bedroom units. I'm not sure if a 3-bedroom unit includes a 2-bedroom unit or not. I'm not quite sure how that's to be interpreted, but I wonder why only 10% of the dwelling units of the family housing would have 3 bedrooms. That just seems to me because we want to encourage Canadians and British Columbians and Vancouverites to replace themselves so that we can have a strong nation and country where, we, sort of produce our citizens and raise them here, and they share our values, and we perpetuate ourselves that way. And that's how pretty much all of the world worked until sort of the 1960s, when there were many shifts in culture, and you see a radical drop in fertility rates all across the Western world and much of the world, partly due to governmental intervention in an intentional way, sort of a leftover Malthusian tendency. So what I want to, I'm sorry, were you talking to me or? No, she was just talking while I was talking, so I mean, that distracted me. So I also want to take this opportunity to again talk about the public nature of this hearing, because it's supposed to be a public hearing. When I arrived here at 5:35, all the exterior doors of the building were locked. I had to knock on the door and be let in. And then we have the rigmarole of the going upstairs, having the security have to let me in, and then the metal detection and so forth. So, yes. I am focused on the item because if I were in the Supreme Court and I wished to argue that the hearing were not in fact public, that would certainly be something that the adjudicator would have to entertain. So that would be my respectful submission on that. So I do believe I'm within the bounds of the quasi-whatever nature of this to say I do not believe it is a public hearing due to the way the building was locked and having to stand and be screened and so forth. So that's my respectful submission on this, oppose it due to the built form, and that I don't believe this is actually a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Okay, so still have 1 more minute. All right, so for the counselor online, please turn on your video. And perfect, thanks everyone. So Clerk, do we have any additional speakers?
There's no additional speakers in the chamber and no speakers on the line.
Thank you, Clerk. So seeing no other additional speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Seeing there are no comments received after 5 p.m., I'm now also going to close the receipt of public comments. Does applicant have any closing comments? No? Okay, thanks. Do staff have any closing comments?
Yes, a couple closing comments from staff. Firstly, I'd like to note that this site is within a TOA, meaning that following any bylaw updates or rezoning policy to align with the provincial legislation, this site could be eligible for more height, which would then allow some of the incentives under the mass timber policy to be actualized on this site in the future. So just as a note. And then secondly, would also like to note that there is a yellow memo attached to this report. Action is required by council on the memo to amend a condition in Appendix B, which streamlines the rainwater management review and approval process.
Thank you.
you.
Hey, does council have any question to staff? I see Councilor Dominado. Please go ahead.
Chair, I didn't have any questions. I was prepared to move the report with the yellow memo.
Okay, we got
Unless
one more speaker
Happy to
there.
second.
Yeah, please go ahead, Councilor Corbillon. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I do have one quick question to follow up for staff, and I just wonder if you can just remind us with the mass timber incentives that were passed by council, how much additional height this project might be eligible for because they pursued the mass timber. So today we're sitting at 6 stories, and it could possibly be. Can you just remind us in terms of what the potential addition is?
Yes, so under the mass timber policy, where the local area plan or a rezoning enabling policy allows 8 stories, up to 2 additional stories could be permitted with the use of mass timber.
Okay, and so that would be a mass timber use and then probably another 12 homes, maybe, give or take?
I'm not sure at this time.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Corbillon. Seeing no one else on the queue, so I'd like to remind council that we will need to move the recommendation for the item 2 together with the yellow memorandum entitled CD1 rezoning 7525 Canby Street, conditions of approval in Appendix B, dated May 3rd, 2024. Okay, moved by Councilor Dominado, seconded by Councilor Carr. Okay. Is there any debate? Councilor Dominado?
Thank you, Chair. And just to reflect appreciation for this project in particular, I'll start by saying to the comments made by the applicant, I appreciate the considerations around how this actually potentially could be, there could be added density and more homes at this site than what's contemplated in this rezoning. But that being said, I'm really excited by the prospect of seeing another mass timber project here in the city. I've served on a couple of panels now with the Kolesnikov family and talking about the opportunity for mass timber, not only from the ability to deliver housing more quickly, but more sustainably, the environmental benefits, but also the economic benefits that are not only generated locally, but also regionally and benefiting our province. And so I was thrilled to see that their families involved in this project, and also recognizing that mass timber and hybrid projects, I think, are going to play a greater role as we see a growing labor shortage in the area of construction. So offsite construction, I think, is going to be something we see more of going forward. So I just wanted to applaud Westgroup for this project. I think it's going to add some valuable homes to the community, but it also is shaping the landscape of the built form in the city. And it's actually a really nice design. I don't usually comment on design as much. I have some colleagues who drill deep into that, but actually visually it's really appealing. So I just wanted to share that, and I'm really thrilled to see the use of mass timber in this project.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, so Councillor Carr.
Just a few comments.
Oops.
Also happy to second the motion here in support. And again, kudos to the architect and developer around mass timber and really incorporating those new designs into our buildings and new structural form, which is really one that is, I think, just more sustainable in a province that has wood. And one hopes it's more than Castlegar that comes up with the production. And also the retention of trees, really noted, the Appendix B and the conditions of approval talked about retaining as many trees as possible and planting trees and even moving some, possibly moving some trees. Tree canopy is going to be, I think, an increasingly important consideration in all development within this city. We have a lot coming on stream and we have climate change that's accelerating. So the work to retain those trees, I think, is really important.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Corbière.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when council puts policies in place, there's oftentimes quite a lag between seeing the benefits of that policy implemented. And so it is encouraging to sort of see. It wasn't that long ago. I can't recall exactly when that council passed the new mass timber incentives. I think it just, and so it's nice to see that actually coming off and that there was a switch in this case, as was outlined by the applicant, from the concrete form to the mass timber. So I'm glad to see that that was working. I appreciate the work put in because it's a bit new in terms of working through that. And so, you spoke kind of about some of the navigational pieces to get through it with the setbacks and otherwise. But I do think it's worth it in terms of pushing the edge on that technology, and it pays off in terms of a more sustainable building. And hopefully the additional incentives that were provided to provide additional floors also help to offset, I know, what is some of the learning and cost at this kind of nascent stage as that mass timber technology develops. And so appreciate the effort. It'll result in more homes, I think. And then sort of living off of Cambie, I'll also say, this is one of the few projects we see coming forward that actually has commercial at grade, and the majority of the Cambie corridor was built out without that. So hopefully that will be things like corner cafes or stores where people can actually get locally serving things, because what was built was an entire neighborhood that was transit oriented, but without actually any basic amenities like access to sort of groceries and local coffee shops in the neighborhood, as I can attest, living there. So it is nice to kind of actually see that be part of this project as well. But happy to support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Corbière. So seeing no one else on the queue, we can now go into the voting panel. And Council, please register your vote on this project. Okay. All right, so this project passed unanimously. All right, thanks everyone. The last item on the agenda is number 3, CD1 rezoning, 5755 to 5791 Oak Street and 1008 West 41st Avenue. Does any member wish to declare a conflict of interest on this item? Okay, the clerk now will read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by West Group Properties to rezone 5755 to 5791 Oak Street and 1008 West 41st Avenue from C1 Commercial District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District. This is to permit the development of a mixed-use development with 25-story and 17-story buildings connected by a 6-story podium. This is with 357 secured rental units, of which 20% of the residential floor area will be secured at below-market rents. A floor space ratio of 7.59 and building heights of 78.7 meters, with the sub-area A and 54.6 meters in sub-area B are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing. 1 piece of correspondence in support, 2 pieces of correspondence in opposition, and 3 pieces of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. And that represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you, clerk. This is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#. Before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on live stream. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be added at the end of the registered speakers list. Council, are you okay? Councilor Carr, please go ahead.
Yeah, since there are a few speakers to this item, I move to waive the presentation.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to waive the. Okay, moved by Councilor Carr, seconded by Councilor Meisner. All in favor, say yay.
Yay.
Opposed. Okay. So I guess we have to listen to the presentation from the clerk. Please go ahead. Sir. Sorry, give us. Yeah, so I remember time.
Chair, can I ask a point of procedure? Because I've heard three different things, two in the course of this public hearing and in past practice. And if a councilor's wanted to hear the presentation, we've always followed that. So I just want us to be consistent because this is the first time I've heard that if it's a majority vote on hearing a presentation, and I've been on council for 5 years, and I've never experienced that. So I would just like clarity if this is in fact procedurally documented and that's the procedure we're following moving forward. That's why I'm looking a bit perplexed because I haven't seen that happen before. And the reason for council's information I want to hear is that this is a pretty significant amount of new homes. We're talking about hundreds of them, and I just thought it warranted a couple of minutes to hear from that one. But I would just like clarification on the procedure because it seems to keep changing.
Okay, so let's take 2 minutes recess. We're gonna sort it out, the procedure question. Yeah, it's a very good education for us for the procedure bylaw today. Yeah, okay, so now I got it clarified. So it is a majority vote, but in consideration of Councilor Kirby, I would like to see the presentation so we can resend our motion from the majority. Reconsider the motion from the majority, and then we can hear the presentation. But the procedure is actually majority. Okay, so moved by Councilor Dominado, and we need a seconder. Seconded by Councilor Carr. So the motion is being reconsidered. Now we're gonna hear the presentation. Oh, all in favor say yeah. Opposed say nay. Okay, so now what happened? It's majority, yeah. So procedure bylaw says reconsideration of the motion is the majority. So the motion passed. So we're gonna hear the presentation from the staff. Okay, please go ahead.
Good evening, Council. My name is Brian Wong, and I'm the rezoning planner for this application for the Canby Corridor Plan. The site outlined in red is located on the southwest corner of Oak and 41st Avenue. It is currently developed with a 2-story commercial building and a parcel being used as a temporary community garden. There are no existing residential tenants on the site. The site is well served by transit and amenities, with a rapid transit station 800 meters to the east, bus service along Oak Street, rapid bus service along 41st Avenue, and nearby bikeways and parks. This proposal is being considered under the Canby Corridor Plan. Redevelopment anticipates a mixed-use building up to 16 stories at this location. A density up to 4.25 FSR is suggested, for which the development potential may fall within, at, or above the suggested FSR. Supportable density is based on urban design and public realm performance. The public realm plan requires an 800 square foot public plaza for this site. The surrounding height context was an important consideration when reviewing this application. Shown here, there are numerous nearby buildings ranging from 20 to 52 stories. As such, there was rationale to apply discretion that exceeded the plan's height limits, especially given the proposed rental and below-market rental units would contribute to advancing the city's housing targets. The application was submitted in August of 2023 for a mixed-use development with 2 towers connected by a 6-story podium. Building heights are 25 stories and 17 stories. 357 rental units are proposed with 20% at below-market rents. Commercial uses are proposed along Oak Street, an FSR of 7.59, and an 800 square foot public plaza at the northeast corner of the site are proposed. This table is a comparison between the below-market rental, market rental, and homeownership costs based on unit types. Shown in red dashes, this application is providing below-market rents that are 20% below CMHC citywide average rents. And market rents in this area of the city are considerably more affordable than home ownership costs. 30 submissions were received during the public engagement period. Support was for the increased rental housing stock and fit into the future neighborhood context. Concerns were related to the height and massing being too tall for the area and the loss of commercial businesses. In response, while the height exceeds the plan, it is appropriate for the emerging surrounding context of up to 52 stories, including the Jewish Community Center and Oak Ridge Center. Regarding loss of commercial, staff have developed resources to assist commercial tenants with relocation planning. The expected DCL contribution is $4 million, with a public art contribution generating a total public benefit of $4.6 million. Although the application exceeds the height and density as specified in the plan, staff support the proposal based on the changing scale of the context and for the delivery of rental housing subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix B. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Would applicant team like to present the application if in attendance?
Good evening. My name is Evan Lewis. I'm here this evening on behalf of West Group Properties regarding our application for rezoning of this property located at 41st and Oak. As you heard from staff, this application will create new housing options for Vancouverites on an underutilized property, a portion of which was a former Chevron gas station. More specifically, with this application, we intend to deliver 357 net new rental housing units, 72 of which will be secured at below market rates. This redevelopment will result in zero displacement of any existing tenants. Additionally, the redevelopment will deliver new commercial retail space to serve a growing population and employment base. The tower heights at 25 and 17 stories will be highly consistent with the surrounding context, including the JCC redevelopment, Grosvenor's OTC redevelopment project, and the Louis Brier and Sean Oaks redevelopments. Importantly, West Group has been the recipient of financing for the construction of over 1,100 rental units across the Lower Mainland through CMHC's Rental Incentive Financing Initiative, subsequently renamed to Apartment Construction Loan Program. We are confident that the proposal for this site presents very high potential for financing through CMHC's Apartment Rental Loan Program due to the numerous positive social outcomes that it will deliver through energy efficiency, housing affordability, accessibility, and access to public transit. Consequently, we intend to pursue CMHC financing for this proposal and thereby leverage federal funding for the construction and delivery of new rental housing options for Vancouverites. I'd like to thank staff for their excellent work on this application. The proposal has gone from application through virtual open house and urban design panel and reached public hearing in 8 months or so. I understand that represents a significant improvement in staff review and processing time compared to their own internal targets. This application has reached public hearing ahead of schedule due to staff's productive collaboration with our applicant team, as well as proactive coordination of their own internal review groups. So we'd like to thank staff for their excellent work, and we ask you to approve this application to enable the delivery of these important new housing options. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council to staff or applicant team? Noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant. Councilor Kirby-Young, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And thanks for the presentation. My question is for staff, and it's with respect to slide 7 on the presentation, and it's around the rents. I know this question came up at including the below market units at a previous public hearing, because the rents are supposed to be 20% discount to citywide average market rents, but when you do the math, it's obviously a much lower discount. So I wonder if you can just walk us through why that is, because it's pretty significant to be achieving, for example, $1,300 for a 1-bedroom versus the average of $2,200. That's a huge savings.
Thank you, Councillor, for the question. Our housing planner, Sarah Robin, will answer that question.
Hello, and thank you for the question. Yes, regarding the below market rents, those are at a 20% discount of CMHC average rents for the entire stock. So that's over a number of years, whereas the average market rents are for newer buildings, the market rents. So those are considerably higher since those are based on newer buildings in the rental stock.
Okay, so it's just that the below market, just to reflect that back then, the below market rents are based on an entire pool, just not newer buildings. So we've got...
Exactly. Yes, so it's a much deeper discount.
Right, because if you do the math, we actually achieve a much higher level. I just wonder if there's
Exactly.
an opportunity to present it as more than 20% below, or and how that's actually framed.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
huge
we could
savings.
certainly. Yeah, certainly we could take that away and look at just demonstrating what that discount is from newer units, which is quite considerable.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave it there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Carr?
Yes, thank you. Question to the applicant. I am interested in the statement that you made in the presentation around energy efficiency. And so I'm wondering if you could just provide some details. The report is fairly brief in terms of just noting a commitment to fulfill energy system submetering and enhanced commissioning requirements, which doesn't really tell us a lot. So if you could detail perhaps those energy efficiencies. I don't think his mic is on. Thank you.
Yeah, I was referencing energy efficiency is a positive social outcome with respect to the CMHC application. So they'll evaluate our application compared to the National Building Code and assign points based on that. Our application will be conforming with the green building policy for rezoning, the low carbon energy pathway. So we're seeking a low carbon energy source for this application.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
What would be a feasible low carbon energy source?
I think if we had a sustainability consultant here, they might be able to answer it better than I can. But effectively, we'll be designing the building to provide that energy source through a low carbon source.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I look forward to hearing about that on completion.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll do fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Carr. This is the second call for the speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium before the close of the speakers list. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merit of the report being considered. We will now hear from the public. The first speaker is Nathan Davidovich. Nathan, please go ahead. Come to the podium. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Acting Mayor and Councilors. I started asking questions about this site in 2019 when the first application was submitted. This is not the first one. This is the second application for the site. City Council never even discussed the first one. City staff and the applicants are refusing to answer any of my questions about traffic and transit problems. If you look through the various comments for or against and others that are posted by the city clerk on the city website, you'll see pictures of fatal accidents around 41st and Oak. You see various requests for proper independent transportation study. You'll see a very good 4-page brief by the Riley Park South Canby Community Group. You have to read them to understand what's going on. It's up to City Council to order proper transportation study. City of Vancouver has approved thousands of parking spaces for new developments within 1 kilometer of the Oak Ridge 41st station. We do not need that much parking. Many other cities in Canada have cut down on the number of parking spots required under their old bylaws. Vancouver has not eliminated the minimum parking requirements. Vancouver has reduced the parking requirements downtown, West End, and Broadway by a small amount, but that's not enough. We need to do way more and need to reduce the amount of parking throughout the city. We should follow New York City congestion pricing. Vancouver is almost as dense as New York City, probably number 2 behind New York. Providing more housing within 1 kilometer of SkyTrain station should be done. The 800 meters that the province mandated is wrong. Most progressive cities in the world use the 1 kilometer from the stations, not 800 meters. The site is 850-meter walk from the Oak Ridge 41st Avenue station, according to Google Maps. But it is Google Maps that funneling the traffic through the intersection of 41st and Oak. They show a heavy line on their map to tell driver to turn left or right at 41st and Oak. And that bad mapping causing accidents, and something should be done. Google Map, they also send the cyclists the wrong way. They do not show the combined bike and bus lanes on 41st Avenue and send the cyclists to 46th Avenue. Once rezoning is approved, there are very few possibilities to improve traffic and transit in this corner. No dedication of land is requested on 41st Avenue. On the North Shore, developers are required to dedicate more land around major bus stops. We have rapid bus R4 and possible BRT in the future, and BRT stations need extra wide sidewalks. We have right now right turning lanes at 41st and Granville and 41st and Canby, but no such lane exists here at 41st and Oak. Even with, new provincial legislation that would not require public hearing in the future, we need a proper analysis of all major projects regarding traffic, shadowing, and all kinds of other issues around these new projects. So it's not just a matter of of approving the housing, which we do need, but it's a matter of, looking around and seeing what other problems around the site that could cause by these new developments. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. The second speaker is Robin Tavender. Please come to the podium. Whenever you're ready, you have 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Hello again. This is a very huge building, but I guess I want to start off. The motto of BC's Law Society is Lex Liberorum Rex, which means law is king of the free. And we're all so lucky here to live under the rule of law as opposed to the rule of the will of employees of
Sorry, Speaker,
corporations.
can I respectfully ask you to focus on the topic?
I am.
I'll give you 5 more seconds.
So now you're interrupting my train of thought, and I am focused on the topic at hand because I am explaining. No, you've ruined this hearing. That was out of order. You've ruined this hearing by interrupting me like that, and you see, now I can't even think because of how you've messed up my mind there by interrupting me without any legal foundation at all to do so. It's incredibly on topic to speak about the law and how we live under the law, not the rule of men or women or whatever else. And I was going to say that because one of principles of law is salus populi suprema lex esto. The health of the people will be the supreme law. That's esto, will be, not is. So that is what we should always keep in mind.
Sorry, Speaker, I have to ask you focus on this topic.
I am. I don't believe you're allowing me to get a full paragraph out, and some of us think in paragraphs, not television sound bites. May I please continue?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. So, does this development support the health of the people? I don't believe that it does. It is too many people in too dense an environment. As Mr. Davidovich, I don't know if I apologize if I got that wrong, suggests there are many, many factors in developments like this that need to be maturely and soberly considered over a very long-term basis. And also we have to consider whether this built environment will help people learn what freedom is, or will they be subject to repressive controls such as strata councils, and simply when you live in a more dense environment you have less freedom. That's one of the big problems with density, that the more people you have, Okay, so now we have the security guy standing over my shoulder staring at me. This is really inappropriate the way I'm being treated here. Really inappropriate. And Mr. Chair is making hand gestures at him and all sorts of things. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just trying to speak my mind, and I have 5 minutes. I could stand up here and read the phone book if I wanted to. I could do that, and that would be well protected under the Charter because our Charter protects nonviolent freedom of expression. It's up to the public to decide whether this is on topic or not, because you've cited no law that decides what I'm saying isn't on topic, And it is on topic. It's always on topic to discuss how the law is our sovereign, not human beings. And the reason for that is because when human beings dominate and oppress others, they can often do things that damage the fabric of our society, such as build structures not for the health of the people, but to seek private profit. Because the building of structures is a very solemn thing. In, for example, ancient Rome, when they erected boundaries to areas, they often made a sacrifice to the god Terminus, because the god Terminus was the one who governed boundaries between lands. So there's also a spiritual quality here to how people are governed and land use decisions. I feel like I've been disrespected here today, and I might add not just once, because I'm simply trying to express myself in a way that conveys my sense of, and I'd rather talk about the built form of the environment. It is the interruptions and the lack of the public character of this meeting that have caused the disruption, not my comments, which are quite on topic. I have a bachelor's degree in philosophy. I don't believe that the attacks on me and the interruption of my time, it's my time, have been warranted, and I really think this reflects poorly on the city that I've been interrupted so many times today. It's abusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. You're right on time. I was trying to give you 30 more seconds, but that's good. Thank you. So this is the third and final call for speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and made available on the live stream. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium. We will now take 5 minutes recess for any additional speakers. We're going to come back at 7:42. Thank you. Okay, so let me bring everyone back. All right, we have quorum now. Hey, yeah, yeah. Okay, clerk, do we have additional speakers on the line or in the chamber?
There's no speakers in the chamber and no speakers on the line.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no other additional speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Seeing there are little or no comments received after 5 p.m., I'm also gonna close the receipt of public comments. All right, does applicant have any closing comments? No, okay. Do staff have any closing comments?
Staff have no closing comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Does council have any question for staff? Councilor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, not seeing anybody on the queue. I'm happy to move the recommendation, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And we need a seconder. Moved by Councilor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councilor Carr. Okay. Well, long day for everyone. Sorry. Okay, so council will make a decision on this application. Do we? We have mover. We have seconder. Is there any debate? Councilor Kirby-Young? Oh, sorry. So yeah, add yourself again. I'll put you back. There we go.
All right, we're back. Thank you. I'll be brief. Yeah, happy to speak in support of this. I see sort of how the construction in this neighborhood every day and how much is developing, and I also see this empty lot. And so it is nice after a period of time and the long remediation period to see development and homes coming into the neighborhood. The OTC across the way was approved, but hasn't moved forward. Oak Ridge is under development. JCC has plans, but has yet to move ahead. And I think this one is ready to kind of go ahead, literally, and be built. So 357 rental homes is not insignificant, obviously on the well-utilized Canada Line, and where this council is taking steps to improve bus service as well along the busy 41st corridor. But what it really strikes me on the below market units, and hence my question earlier, is how much of a savings they are, because they are based off of the entire pool, including older buildings. So if you're paying $1,300 versus $2,300 in round numbers, almost $1,000 less for one bedroom, that's pretty significant. But in terms of just total housing need, with such a low vacancy rate in the city, seeing that number of new homes coming in a transit-oriented area, and one that's well served by parks and other amenities is great, but not food, which I will always say is that, so it's good to see some. I always sort of put that plug into applicants to consider the mix of what neighborhoods really need for commercial spaces that are contained in the developments. But happy to support and appreciate the project. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Meisner.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Really happy to see this project. As Councilor Kirby-Young mentioned, it's a former gas station. There's no displacement on the site, and instead of an empty lot, we'll be seeing 285 new units and 72 below market units. So that does make a significant impact at addressing our housing shortage. This is a very well-connected location, as has been mentioned, 800 meters from the Canada Line. It's on a rapid bus route and also close to lots of community amenities. So I think that this is a fantastic project with a lot of positive benefits for the community, not just the housing, but public plaza that has been mentioned, some retail on the ground floor, and is also in an area that is densifying rapidly with new development, and which is great because we have a multi-billion-dollar transit investment in the Canada Line, which is hugely successful, walking distance to this. So we need to capitalize on that and deliver housing for Vancouverites. So I'm really happy to support this project tonight.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Meisner. So we need to make a decision. So clerk, please take us to the voting panel, and council, please register your vote. All right, so this application passed unanimously. All right, thanks everyone. That concludes the last item on the agenda. So we need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilor Dominado, seconded by Councilor Kirby-Young. All in favor say yea. Opposed say nay. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.